Hello and welcome. This is Dr. Jan Bravo, and I'd like to welcome you to the World Puja Network today. On behalf of all of us here working with Dr. Stephen Greer, we're very excited to be speaking with you today. Dr. Greer does have a very brief vacation now. He's been working quite hard on many projects. At this point today, you have some special guests that I hope you'll enjoy hearing as much as we enjoy being with you. I'd like to first introduce Emery Smith. Emery Smith is a scientist who founded Emmersite Corporation, which is a biotechnology company that specializes in regenerative therapies. He holds numerous patents in that field and has many inventions related to his work. He's also a board member of Sirius Technology and Research and vice president of CSETI. Mr. Smith is also an amateur wildlife photographer whose videos and pictures have been featured on the Discovery Channel and National Geographic. His skills have been crucial in documenting through photographs some amazing events during our field work. He also is very in tune with the ETs and has remarkable skills in making contact. Welcome, Emery. It's wonderful to have you here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Dr. Bravo. I appreciate it.
We are going to be talking specifically about the recent Crestone Expedition, which was amazing. And if you don't mind, I'd like you to jump right into that. We will tell you about our second guest in a moment. But please, Emery, why don't you hold forth?
Oh, yeah, sure, absolutely. I also would like to thank the World Puja Network for hosting us. They do that every 2 weeks. And there's this wonderful worldwide following for this program that has developed over the years. And CSETI and Disclosure Projects, we're very appreciative and thankful for them and allowing us to update you on all the new stuff that we have going on with CSETI and the Disclosure Project. You can also follow us at www.cseti.org and www.disclosureproject.org if you want more information about that. And for those of you who are new to the show, the Centers for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence and the Disclosure Project was developed by Dr. Stephen M. Greer back in the early 90s, I think 1990. He is the global director for these projects and has developed the C5 initiative, which is a worldwide effort to make peaceful contact with extraterrestrials. He has many lectures and trainings that you can attend. The dates are available at the website, cseti.org, and if you're interested in attending, you can register and log on there. We recently just completed this amazing ambassador training in Crestone, Colorado, which will be debriefing you on this call, this great interview. Crestone, Colorado is just one of many places around the world that we have our trainings. We go to Europe and many other places, California, and if you look on the website, you can see a brief description of all the different places we go to. CSETI trainings are designed to facilitate in-depth analysis on all aspects of ETI studies. Some of the topics that we talk about during these trainings are human-initiated ETI contact, the origins and motives of the current ETI visitors, and also the peaceful applications of the ET technology and the new physics and science behind this technology, which is really interesting. We also cover disclosure information and the importance of world peace and unity. This thought is a prerequisite for extensive ETI contact and universal peace, which most followers of the World Puja Network are very familiar with. During the day, we have educational teachings, and at night we actually go to the field site. I kind of call the daytime stuff ET 101, where Dr. Greer explains things such as remote viewing, meditative practices, and the breakdown of the protocols for the C5 initiative. After breaking in the evening, we meditate, we have dinner, and we head to the field site to practice what we have learned. I always get a lot of people who approach me in the general public that say things like that they're not very psychic or it's hard for me to meditate. And to tell you the truth, anyone can do this. And that's what Dr. Greer helps us to do, is to let go of the ego and have no expectations and be limitless in our thinking and our consciousness. You don't need any prior experience. We have people from all walks of life, from all around the globe, such as Europe, Australia, Asia, South America, Africa, that come together as one to train together as one. And as the days go by during the training, and it's great to know we have Paola Harris with us today, it's her first time that she's been on a CE5 training, so I can't wait to get into it with her because I'd like her to relay all the interesting things that have happened to her. But when people come out there, and as you know, the first couple of days go by, it's like you have this coherence that's established as a group where it becomes easier and easier to act as one in communicating and establishing contact with these extraterrestrials. And it's just quite a very beautiful experience. And the people who come to these trainings leave with a better understanding of themselves and the universe and things like that. Now, there's also a scientific side to it. It's not just, all meditation. We also have a scientific side that we document things, and we do incorporate, man-made components, such as radar detectors and lasers, which is back engineered from ETs, magnetometers, storm trackers, compasses, thermometers. We're always recording everything. So we have cameras that are both video and still. We have new types of cameras. We call them the box cameras that are set off by infrared movement and have a infrared light that shoots out when activated, and it captures some pretty amazing, bizarre things. And this is kind of new for us, so we have our scientists looking at it now and kind of documenting these things. We have sound recorders. We have infrared light vision binoculars. We have thermal vision binoculars, so we can see the different types of temperatures that are around us. We have regular binoculars, which are very important, so we know what we're looking at. If we see a plane and we see that it has landing lights, or if it has lights on it that are blinking up and down, we know that it's a plane. We can kind of rule that out. We also have people that are dedicated for tracking satellites, so we print all the satellites for that location and that evening, and we can cross-reference to make sure that we're not looking at a satellite. We have boom boxes that we bring out there. We play tones that we have recorded in previous CE5s, specifically one that was in England in a crop circle. And we also transmit these tones through two-way radios. And these two-way radios are basic two-way radios you can get at Walmart, and they transmit these sounds for the first 15 minutes before we start, just through the radio waves. We feel that helps a lot. And then there's other things that we get into, such as TDIS, which is transdimensional interstellar, which means communications that are traveling via other dimensions that are not through linear space and time. We'll get into that during this program. These dimensions are folded within and contained within space and time, so it's a conscious holographic universe. And of course, every starfaring culture knows it is. Well, Paul, I'm really glad to have you on board. Paul Harris was based in Europe for years and is in touch with all the best UFO researchers, as well as doing her own research. And her mission was to bring that information about to the public with UFOs and ETs and the wider population of the Earth, and the interest to just have credible research. And she's been doing that now for many, many years. So welcome, Paula. We're very honored to have you on board with us.
Thank you, Emery and Jan. What started me on this whole mission was in 1979 when I saw Close Encounters of the Third Kind, of the very last part of that, when they had contact. So it's ironic that I would experience some of that. It's like a dream come true in Crestone. The idea of peaceful contact, and in the movie they had tones. They had lights, and they had a lot of the things you mentioned, Emery, and for me, that was like a dream come true. It was something that I had put off doing. You need to understand that I've been working with Stephen on the Disclosure Project, doing witness testimony in Europe for many years, and working with him here, but he had always told me, why don't you come out on one of our outings, and Crestone is 4 hours away from Boulder, where I live. So, I was compelled to do it this time. I think a lot of people say, well, if you stay out from 8 to almost 9 to 2 in the morning, it's very difficult. But it really wasn't. I think what happened was, in those 6 days, it changed my entire biorhythm. I was so shocked because I thought it would be stressful, and it's probably the most relaxed I have ever been, having gone to bed at 2 in the morning. Has anybody else said that?
Yeah, we hear that actually a lot. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. People think this is, they get the misinterpretation that, this is going to be something that they're going to have to work at. And, there is training involved with it, but the main thing is just to kind of let go and relax like you did. That's great. And the more that you let go and relax and clear your mind and clear your thoughts and be, just be one and not be thinking of anything is when the amazing things unfold and the events start to happen. And I'm sure, you could share with the group maybe some things that happened to you during this. And that's why during meditation, too, when we are out there, we do many meditations. It's right, before or after the meditation when everyone's kind of in the same hypnagogic state and very, thinking clearly and just having this peaceful, peacefulness that goes across a circle, which everyone feels this. Everyone is commenting on energies that come in. Everyone becomes very perceptive, if you notice, and you can perceive things and see things, and many people see the same thing and some people don't. Everyone has their own experience out there.
Well, I wasn't as vocal as a lot of the people, and this was an extraordinary group of people, I will say. This group of people, it was so extraordinary. They were very spiritual, but they were very in tuned. The intent was willingness, and when somebody has a willingness to have contact, then contact happens. So I was lucky to be with this kind of group, and I didn't know really what to expect, even though in all my books I use the CE5 protocols as the most important protocols for contact ever. I mean, I talked about it, but I never experienced it. And when we did the meditations, what I understood, Emery, is that you have to quiet your mind. I mean, all too often when people go out to sky watches, there's so much noise that if anything happened, nobody would even notice it. But that isn't the case with CE5 protocols, with Dr. Greer doing the Puja ceremony. And I'll tell you, when he does that, it is so emotional. When he recites in Sanskrit, there's something vibrational about his voice, about the words, that, as you know, because you're the one who filmed it, we had an incredible visual effects on the film that went off when he was doing the Puja ceremony. It's almost like an invitation for ET cultures and an invitation for even multi-dimensional cultures to visit. And your photographs were amazing when Dr. Greer was doing the Puja ceremony. So one of the things that I was impressed with was that, and the idea of staying quiet for such a long time so that you're really aware of the night sky, the Milky Way, all the constellations.
That's a good point.
That is a very good point. Go ahead, Jen.
I'd like to add that you said something important, Paula, about it's not just people being quiet, but it's the intent with which people came. You said something about an invitation to our visitors. That's exactly what it is. It's not demanding. It's not expecting a show. It's asking. And we extend the invitation. And if they're willing to come, we're grateful. And we're willing to interact, right?
Absolutely. And, I think that it's so simple that it's incredible.
Yeah, there's not a lot of effort that's involved with that. And I'm glad you brought up the Puja because that's a beautiful ceremony where the words are tonality. They're their own frequency. So when you hear him, speaking the ancient Sanskrit language, it's very harmonic. And a lot of the things that we experience out there start with name and form. And it's that stuff that later comes the light, the existence. And that's why we capture sometimes, some amazing things like what you were referring to was the camera was actually pointing upward during the Puja ceremony. and we had captured 6 of these discs that were perfectly round discs that were different colors. They were blue and green and red, and that's something. One of them, you could actually, when we blew it up, you can actually see an indentation at the center of the disc where it kind of was a concave area of the disc, and it was kind of reddish on top, and it turned to a grayish, and then around the rim was like this golden light. And it's a very beautiful picture. I think we're going to probably post those on the CSETI website in the near future. And we had many of these discs come by that evening, but the first time that we saw them were actually, they have manifested, and the camera actually got them on the frame.
Yeah, they were wonderful pictures, and we saw them immediately after they happened. So it was, and we had a lot of witnesses to that. So kudos on your camera work, Emery, because it's fabulous.
Oh yeah, Emery, that makes it for the nuts and bolts person. That makes it what it is. I mean, it is truly remarkable. You can feel that there's something there. You can have 1 or 2 people see it, but when the camera gets it, I mean, there were 2 discs that you photographed, that the cameras photographed, that are so clear. One looks like the cover of one of my books. I mean, they were absolutely there. My favorite picture, though, Emery, has to be the one that looked like the angelic being in the middle of our circle. It was huge, and whoever we invited or whatever we invited definitely had an effect on all of us. It was almost like we were there for a purpose. We were there to extend an invitation for the rest of the world. In that picture, I don't know if you remember it. It looks like a beautiful white angel right in the middle of it.
Yeah, the white. It looked like it had a flowing robe behind it, right? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was so beautiful. One of our box cameras captured that during one of our meditations, during our contact, and we've had people look at it, and it's something that we've actually never filmed, or Dr. Greer even said he's never seen like that in his lifetime of experience with this. And it's this beautiful white, bright white. It's emitting its own light, and it has this. It's hard to explain, but I can't even explain it because there's no shape on Earth to even explain this. But it has this beautiful white flowing. It looks like it's wearing a robe, and it looks like there's like an arrow in the middle of it with this beautiful flowing robe coming off it like sheets. It's quite bizarre, but it's something that every time we have one of these CE5 events, there's always something new that happens, and we're completely taken by it. The experiences that we experience out there come in all different forms, and this is one of the ones that Paul is referring to, is these angelic beings. I like to call them celestial beings, and it's not that they're angels. I believe that there are certain civilizations that have that over hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years have became into light form, and they can go from physical to light form at will. And of course, when we're having CE5, the safest way for a lot of these beings to present themselves is either in a holographic image or in the light form, because we have neutrino light detectors in our satellites up there that is run by the bad guys, that as soon as they detect any physical presence of ships or craft, they like to shoot them down with scalar weapons. So it's, the safest way is basically showing us through interdimensional ways that they can do this through light. And they come right through time and space. It's not like a physical object that's on the moon and then all of a sudden it flies into our atmosphere and you can track it this way. No, these beings have perfected traveling through time, and there is no time with them. the time is, there is a time. That's something that we've developed here because of the radiation from the sun, and we age quick and we die. But on other civilizations, it's a completely different mindset. And that's why it's important that we all think towards the future about being one and, not killing and hurting each other, because, they were there too at one time, and, they have evolved into this, and that's where we're going. Our children's 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 children are these beings that are visiting us today in these CE5s, and they're warning us, and they're saying, we have to make a change, and we have to do it now, or we're going to destroy the earth. It's all about the earth. Without the earth, we're not going to be here. So It's a beautiful message. I get these messages, kind of downloaded to me all the time while I'm out there meditating, and it just goes on and on and on, and it's just a beautiful experience. And have you, Paula, did you experience anything during the meditations that you'd like to share, or that you felt? I know you had seen some amazing things, and
well, first of all, about the being, it was right in the center of the circle, and it was very big, that you were able to capture. Thank God you had the box cameras and so forth. But, I wasn't that vocal, but boy, it was one of the most profound of experiences I've ever had. And when I went into it, since February, I've had really serious sciatica problems and stabbing pains on my right leg, and I've been to the doctors. I've had physical therapy and everything, and I was afraid that walking would just make it worse. But after 2 days of the 3.5 to 4 hour CE5 protocols of sitting in a chair with my mind stilled and with the communication and positive energy of the entire group when we do sit in a circle. On the third day, the pain completely went away. I noticed it. It's just like I never had it. I was shocked. I said, "Is this possible? I mean, can I be in a situation like this?" And after 2 days, after I've been suffering for I don't know how many months, just not feel it like it never happened. And so it was a healing that happened that was not expected, that I wasn't even thinking about, that really changed my entire physical being. I walked out of the 6 days entirely different physically as well as mentally.
Absolutely, and we've had a history of that. Jan can attest to this. I remember 3 years ago at Crestone, there was a man who had a severe back injury that was in a lot of back pain for a while, and he basically gave us this exact same story that you did, that after this training, he noticed, and not something he was thinking about, but he just noticed that he was able to move around. He wasn't in pain anymore, and this is something that he's been in pain for many, many, many years. And, I even notice myself now and then, I sometimes, my back sometimes goes out every now and then, and I have some pain. And it does seem like after these trips, the body has somehow regenerated itself and things are fixed in the body. And I think there's many different, ways you can look at this. One of my opinions is that, when we're out there and we're holding hands and we're sending out healing light to the earth and to the people of the earth, that energy also comes back on us. And when you have, it's been proven when, a number of people, more than one, get together and they meditate on a certain thing or a certain intention, that, it actually happens somewhere in the world or in the universe. And I believe that what's happening is not only are we healing, the earth and sending healing out to the people of the earth, but it's actually happening right there in the circle. And, some people are having these miraculous things happen. Not to say we're going to treat or diagnose anything in the future for people, but it's just something that sometimes it does happen. And, we've had that in the past.
It was kind of a byproduct. I mean, it was unexpected because I didn't even think about it. After 2 days, I didn't have any pain. It was amazing. But I wanted to ask Jan, one of the things that I noticed about Dr. Greer, and Emery, you could say something too, is that he develops a sight where he sees things in another dimension, and then you point the camera and you photograph them. I mean, he probably does this enough so that he will point to a spot and say, there's a red, craft over there, and in Emery, you're right there. You take the picture, and there's a red craft. And we turn around, and our sight is not as developed as his. Or partially it's intuition, partially it's sight. What do you think it is?
Well, a lot of it, let's go back to Dr. Greer's past. He was a meditation teacher. We all know the benefits of meditation, but most of us can't be quiet long enough to meditate. I've certainly been guilty of that in my life, and continue to have honed it to as such a level as Dr. Greer or many other people. But that is part of it. He's able to be silent and see with all his senses. He sees, he feels, he hears. And it's available to everyone. We all have that capacity. He's worked on it. It's not something that everybody can just walk out and do just because they want to, okay? Part of it is relaxing enough into meditation, or at the very least, just being silent, not letting the monkey mind go, not demanding things during that time. Does that make sense? But just being silent to see what's there. He's developed that. He also helped develop, he did, I won't say he helped, he did develop the protocols. So he knows what works. So is it something that everyone can do? Sometimes people come and they've never meditated before and they get things. Part of it is a willingness to not demand things, but just to be silent and have all the senses ready and see what happens. So you've just made a very good point. It's not something that's exclusive to Dr. Greer, nor would he ever say it is. He's just developed it very well.
And then Emery takes the picture, and that is what's amazing, because Emery's tuned in, so he goes to the direct, they're both tuned in to whatever area it is, and it's amazing. The next day we see what they saw.
Right, or sometimes right at that moment after it's taken, we see what they saw, which is so important. But, yes, Emery has developed these senses very well. So that's, again, that's something that's highly developed. But part of it is instinctive or intuitive, but part of it does take practice. And Emery's done the work.
That's right.
And Emery's there.
That's right. You hit it right on the head there, Dr. Bravo. You see, there's no keen special superhero abilities. What has happened is, just like with anything, when you put your energy into, whether it be working out or obtaining a goal, such as meditating, I always ask in a prayer every night to please, open my inner sight. Some people call it the third eye, the pineal gland, whatever you want to call it. There seems to be another way energetically that our bodies, and everyone has this, that we can fine-tune, that we can practice and practice and practice to be in quiet mind. And some of the best ways is kind of just putting a blindfold on, and so you can't see any light at all, and kind of meditating in that state of mind. So if you do see something that's of light that you sensed, or that it wasn't light from outside. And, it is something, like you said, Dr. Bravo, that it takes time to develop these abilities. And with some, it may come faster than others. It all depends on, how much energy you want to put into it. But there is a transformation happening, and this transformation happening is basically packets of energy that's being, rained upon the earth, and especially during these CE5s, that is actually changing the energetic aspects of the human body, specifically the DNA. And I believe, and Dr. Greer believes also this, that this change is helping us understand each other and see more and be able to feel more. Wouldn't you agree?
I would definitely agree. Have you
noticed, especially the last couple of years, it's been, the step-down transformer, has been energetically increasing more and more with each activity and with each event that we go out there. It seems, sometimes when we're out there, the energy, like for instance, not to get off track, but just basically back in Marco Island when that craft had landed, on the beach there, and these ETs were, coming out, and these little specks of light were everywhere. Mm-hmm. The energy when Dr. Greer walked into that circle was so intense that I couldn't even get closer to him more than 10 feet because I felt like the static, the electricity that was running through me, this Kundalini activation, was just so intense, but not in a negative way, just like an overwhelming, beautiful way that, that energy is coming to all of us.
That's a good point, and I think this is an important point in the conversation to point out that people have written us all over the world who are doing their own CE5s, following the protocol, in their small groups, wherever they are. We're getting more stories like this. So it's not just us. It's not just where we are and what we're doing. And as Dr. Greer will say, it's not just him. It's doing the practice, doing the protocols, and it's available to everyone. And that's what's important.
Absolutely. We have a thing we call in the medical field, we call it see one, do one, teach one. And that's what he lives by, Dr. Greer's emergency.
Right.
I also have a medical background myself, and in surgery, that's what we do. We see one, we do one, and then you're the expert. You get to teach one. And that's what's going on. He's duplicating this all over the world. People of all different types of places and different nationalities are, there's actually an app for it now. They made a CSETI app. If you have an iPhone, you can download it on the App Store. And it goes right through the CE5 initiative and all the contact core principles of what you need to do. Anyone can do this, and it's a simple thing. And I want to eliminate that whole thing where you think you might have to have some sort of special something ability or whatever. You don't need to. Everyone's born with this, and you just need to go out there and try it for yourself. And you can go out there with a group of friends and do it. It's nice to have the groups not too large, maybe around 4 to 10 is nice. And it seems like the least amount of people, the better, unless everyone's kind of used to doing it, because you want the cohesion of the group to be as one. And if you have one person out there that's kind of just not into it, it's probably not going to work because the extraterrestrials don't want to scare anyone, and they're not going to do anything. They're not going to come too close. They're going to scan everyone to see what their level is, their comfort level. And if you notice, like the first evening that we saw a lot of craft and distance and things, that each day that we were out there, it seemed to build up and ramp up as more and more people got comfortable with accepting. And one of the things we have everyone do is we actually say, you got to ask yourself, would you really be, comfortable if there was an extraterrestrial that manifested right in front of you? Or, a lot of people come on me, I like the story of the reporter in England, Jan, that Dr. Greer always talks about, how she's always ready for, she's been ready to make contact, and during a thunderstorm, a craft materializes right there in the field in one of the crop circles, and, Dr. Greer's out, jumps out in the rainstorms and starts signaling it with a light to come closer, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, we're making contact." And she, she wouldn't have it. And here, she was a reporter that had come there and said she was ready for all this, but when it came right down to it, it was very frightening for her. And immediately after, her response with this, the craft slowly was advancing and then slowly, pulled away. And they're very considerate like that. They're very emotional beings. They're very loving beings. They don't want.
Well, Emery, that wouldn't have been me because Close Encounters is what started my whole career. I mean, out of the blue, that something that emotional started my career. And people don't start their career with an emotional response. That wouldn't have been me. But can I add something that happened that blew me away as a reporter? Because I'm an investigative
absolutely.
reporter.
Right.
Yeah, I'd love
And I'm pretty nuts and bolts. And when I saw, and I got to tell the listening audience about this, when I saw that craft that came in and was over us, and then I saw the military jets go after it and it disappeared, I was almost in tears. I could not believe it. Do you remember that moment when all of us saw that thing and all these military?
Amazing.
And it just went. It sat over there over us. We all saw it, and then it just zipped out, and I felt so bad, and the military jets followed it right out, and I thought, oh God, this is really true. This, how could they possibly? They take a chance coming in. They come in, and then there's, and Dr. Greer was clear. He says some of those military jets don't even know what they're following. They're given vectors, and they just go out there and they follow orders. They're following orders because somehow they sensed that craft was there, but the craft was so beautiful. It was right there.
Right. Absolutely. It was amazing. There was this blue and white crystalline glowing craft right above the circle that manifested in full materialization. It was completely materialized, and I have great news to tell you about this specific event. Nobody knows this because I just released it to Dr. Greer yesterday, that we have the entire event filmed.
On camera. No, I thought we did.
Video.
We have it, don't we? I thought we did, yeah.
Camera. I have it on camera, too, like still pictures, but the most important thing is we have it on video. We actually have the craft coming into the frame, and we're following it, and then all of a sudden you hear these hypersonic jets, coming into the airspace from nowhere. And
from nowhere, yeah.
Basically the same frame. We have the interceptor coming after this ET craft, and it just dematerializes. It was there, and it slowly just dematerialized on itself. It unfolded on itself and was gone. And the craft, I'm sure the pilot of that F-15 or F-119 stealth fighter was probably like, oh my God, what was that? Because it's off the radar. And everyone in the circle saw that.
This is true. The other thing to note is, besides the fact that it did not move like a satellite, we had satellite charts, which we always have to confirm if there's a satellite, the space station, or other terrestrial craft up there, and there were not. So that's wonderful. Thank you for that information that you got that, because that's incredible. I think we have redundant videos of that because we have 2 other video cameras which caught it. So this is fabulous news. We're very excited about getting it on out there to you guys.
Yeah, and Jan, as a nuts and bolts, researcher, it's so important to have this. But I had an emotional reaction to that too. I felt so sad, and it really was sad.
Well, it does tell. It's kind of a metaphor for what's going on in the world. But the fact that these visitors were willing to make contact, and they didn't hurt anybody, including the jet. They just left when it got dangerous for them. It does tell us that we do have beings that care about us. And so I find it as very hopeful. I understand your feelings, but I find it as very hopeful. I also will say I know that people are interested in seeing things on the website. We have no paid staff. We are all volunteers doing this. You have to give us some time because we cannot get everything put up. There's so much to do that it's very difficult to go through everything, and we do go through all our footage frame by frame. So please know that when we can possibly have time to load these on the site, we will. But it's all an effort of love, a work of love, and we just don't have the staff to turn it around and in a week or a month get everything on the website we'd like. But everything we tell you about that we have at some point, we do wish to get up there. So stay tuned.
Yes, definitely. It's going to be part of our best available evidence. And, in the future, I do see a lot of changes happening in 2013 where we're going to be able to get a lot of this data and a lot of the videos, pictures, and documentation out to the public in just a vast global arena where it's going to be available for everyone to see and for other scientists to evaluate and look at and everything. It's a different type of science, but, it's time now with the amount of evidence that we have to, put it together in the right way and present it in the correct way, and also with an explanation and the science behind it.
Right.
And, we're going to have that available next year. I'm praying, and I feel that it's going to happen. Like Dr. Bravo said, we just don't have a big staff to help us. All the core team members are all volunteers, and bless their hearts. Everyone's pulling their weight and doing as much as they can. And, we always reach out for anyone who would like to help or donate to help us, get this type of thing out to people. And as far as the cameras and things like that, we have enough documentation and pictures. We have enough documentation to make many, 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 many books and things like that to go on. But it's something that's unfolding now as we speak. And for those of you who have helped us, we really appreciate it. There's a lot of people who've gone out on a limb and have donated and helped us with that, and it's all been put to good use. And like I said, we're going to have some things coming up in the near future where it's going to be available on a grand scale.
Right. And we encourage everyone also to have your own groups. Get information off the website and just follow the protocols and do it yourself, because this is available to everybody. And the more people who do it around the world, obviously, Rupert Sheldrake's study of morphogenic fields shows us that it helps raise the general frequency and vibration and education level as more people do such things. So we strongly encourage everyone to do it on your own, because you can.
And I you have my help. I want to say that I really appreciate everything that you, Dr. Bravo, and Emery, and Dr. Greer have shown me and helped me through. So you'll always have my support and my in my energy in this effort, because I think it's the most important thing for humanity, the fact that we could go into a cosmic neighborhood and meet our cosmic neighbors.
Right.
Yeah, people. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say something, and this just came to mind because a lot of people think, I can't do it, or how can I do it? And besides the fact that, well, there are protocols to follow that can help you do it, and we did talk about meditation, I'm always reminded of the definition, of a couple definitions that I read once. And people say that prayer is asking for something, and meditation is listening to receive an answer. So essentially, a lot of people go into it asking for something. Well, go down the spectrum and just open yourself to getting an answer, and that may be a lot easier and a lot more effective.
No, absolutely. That's a great point, Jan. And another thing is that to add to that is, we have to reach out, and that's why it's a CE5 initiative, because the Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind means we're reaching out to them. And
that's right.
And it's not something where we're just sitting here waiting. Like a lot of people believe it's, they should just sit on the couch and wait for, the ET ship to come to them or make the communication come to them. Well, they've come all this way. The least we can do is open our hearts up and open ourselves up to allow contact to happen. And most people don't even do that much. I mean, anyone could go outside and sit down in a lawn chair and grab a pair of binoculars and look around. That's great. but to actually go out there and to try to establish a contact using the protocol and to let them know that you're aware and that you are listening and that you have intentions to be put at service or to communicate is the first largest step in this process.
You're going to be doing this in Mount Shasta soon, aren't you? What are the dates for that?
That is correct.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Middle of August. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Shasta training is August 12th through August 18th. It's in Mount Shasta, California. Definitely go online and check that out. I think there's only a few spots left, actually. I was just notified yesterday. We also have another training in the Southern California desert. That's November 11th through November 17th. So if you can't meet that, I think it's going to be near Palm Springs. And that's also a great one to go to. And thanks for bringing that up, Paula. I was going to bring that up.
Well, I can highly, highly recommend it. It's life-changing, but most of all, it's a dream come true. That's the only way I can put it from very personal experience.
Well, it's good to have your input on that, Paula, because you have been a UFO investigator for many years, and we appreciate your input. We appreciate your having been there to experience it, and it was wonderful to share that with you.
Well, I had a wonderful time, and you've helped me a lot. I have to thank you because I think it's the energy of the dedication of the people around Dr. Greer, that really bring this along. And as you said, you are volunteers, and you do so much. And it will produce an effect. We all need to believe that. We're in it so that we can, in our lifetimes, make a contribution. And that's why I do what I do also.
Yeah, and we want to thank you, Paula, for going on the limb and doing what you have done in the past, because a lot of that information that you have donated to us is going to be used in the future for a film that we're developing. So I really want to thank you, too, for being part of that and helping get a lot of these interviews to us by these respected VIPs, which is very crucial when we're trying to help with disclosure. It helps to have the information that you have already collected over the years to make that possible. And I want to give personal thanks to you from myself and from CSETI and from Dr. Greer as well.
Well, thank you.
And we just keep amassing more information. We filmed some of this trip that at some point will be available, of course, with everyone's agreement. There's so much that we really want to get out there, and we continue compiling information. As always, we love to hear from people all over the world and your experiences. If you want to send any information you have to CSETI, that website is www.cseti.org or www.disclosureproject.org, because we know that a lot of people all over the world are having fantastic experiences. We get frequent, almost daily information, and we're really glad to know this, because this is not something that's elitist, that the heads of state of the world are doing. So it's up to us, and actually I think this is kind of the most grassroots of movements, and that's probably how it should be, because the people of the earth deserve this contact and deserve all the good things that can come from it. So we're continuing to do this work and encourage everyone else to do it in their way. In any way we can help, we're here.
And I want to thank you, too, Dan, for being there for us all the years. If it wasn't for Dr. Bravo, we wouldn't even have the Disclosure Project. So I just want to give you a...
Well, I always think that there would have been a way. This was that his time had come, and it had to be. And even though he's not here this week, but I know the next time he will be, Dr. Greer will be back. We know everyone loves to hear him. Honestly, I love to hear his programs.
Oh, I do. I watch every week.
he does every now and then. I'll need a little bit of time with all the things he's doing. So he only had a short break from the program for this time, but in a couple of weeks he'll be back. But in any case, my shout out just goes to him for doing this work, everything he's done, and just allowing us all to know what is possible. Because I have to say, learning this information, no one put it together as he did, and I was not having the depths of experiences with contact before being involved with CSETI, and so I feel really blessed to be part of it.
Oh, absolutely. I feel the same way. If it wasn't for Dr. Greer, I would not have been opened to so much and privy to so much information and also so much education, because you cannot learn about this anywhere. Not even the sciences of this have been restricted. So, he goes into the science behind this, and it's a really interesting subject to learn, and I think everyone in the world should know about it. It shouldn't be just a few people. And, his self-sacrifice to go out there and to have these trainings and to, write books and to have the courage to go forward against basically the world, is quite astonishing.
He's very articulate. He's very good. And when I speak to my colleagues, I call him the best of the best. He knows what he's talking about, and I can affirm that because I know exactly what he's talking about in the 30 years of research I've done in my career. And I love Dr. Stephen Greer because he's got his heart in the right place.
And just to say it once more, he wants everyone to be able to do it. He doesn't want to keep it to an elite few, a small group. He really wants people all over the world to do it because it's really the future of the planet. So I just want to thank both of you for being there. Emery, thank you for all your input today. Paola, it's been a pleasure to have you, and I'm sure you'll be back on another program, and I'm sure we'll see you on future trips.
Oh, yeah. I would love to go on future trips. I'm addicted.
Well, you'll also be reporting what happens in the Colorado area, so that'll be fine. I know you'll take this forward on your own. So in any case, I want to thank the World Puja audience. You're the ones who we're really here for, part of this Earth family for whom we're doing the work. So thank you. We appreciate your listening and your support. And as Dr. Greer always says, keep looking up. Bye-bye.
Many blessings. Bye-bye.